Hey, everybody, welcome to the third issue of 12 Cent Treehouse, talking about working in comics, TV, and film. As usual, I am here with Surly Scott Collins and Jolly Jeff Johnson. Sterling Steve is off, I believe, at a pub in New Zealand, someplace, watching some sports thing.
I mean, it must be nice, right?
It's New Zealand, so it must be European football or rugby, I assume.
It's also a very nice pub. I've been there.
Oh, oh yeah, I forgot you were there not long ago. You probably finished up knowing everybody's first name.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah,
it's pretty great there. One of the things that's nice about his town in New Zealand is that there is it's right next to the water. The beach is beautiful. The town is, I mean, everything about it is glorious. It's one of those places it's very storybook. So you're like, oh, humans can live here. This is a possibility. Yeah.
They can live like this.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
So if you haven't joined us before, I'm Sean McLaughlin. I was a writer producer at Warner Animation. I worked mostly as a producer on shows like Batman Beyond, Superman, Justice League, Guys in Tights beating the shit out of each other. I also wrote comics. And I've written some films, and I work as a script consultant. That's me. Scott, who are you? And let's get existentially. Like, who are you? Why are you?
It's a very excellent question today. It's one of those questions you ask yourself while you're sick in the middle of the weekend, which I am currently on this weekend. I'm Scott Collins. I am a comic book artist most of the time, dad some of the time, and philanderer when I can get away with it. I've worked for Marvel Comics, DC Comics. I'm known for Flash, I've shown before. I'm known for Patra here, this book with Jane Robinson. Bunch of stuff at Marvel, like Avengers and this thing Freak Show and a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, and I'm just the guy who likes to draw superheroes or any sort of... Actually, at this point, we can say any kind of stories. I like horror stories. I like all sorts of stories. And that's actually what I'm currently working on these days is like Patra, Adam Point 3, and Pastaways, more creator-owned stuff. Da-da-da.
Excellent. I'm Jeff Johnson, obviously. You can tell from the name underneath the thing. And I've been drawing comics since I was, I think professionally, I started drawing comics when I was a senior in high school. And my friend Steve Jones and I did a local strip in the newspaper, and it was called Post Warriors, and we did one strip every weekend, and we got paid $15 for an adventure strip in the local paper, and then we got paid $25 to do an additional political cartoon, and that's when I realized that people will pay you more to do what they want than to pay you to do what you want. It was a valuable lesson I learned almost not quite 50 years ago, but it's stuck with me.
That's been my experience as well. That most of the time you have to pay them for you to do stuff. So what are you guys working on? I this week I only read like 5 scripts. One of the places I worked for has changed up. So takes a little bit longer for me to get through a script than it did before. I read of the 5 I read, 1 was good. Still waiting for notes on a screenplay I turned into my manager, and I had an idea the other day. I'm starting to make some notes on myself about maybe doing a sports comedy.
Ooh, a sports comedy.
Yeah.
In the milieu of like Ted Lasso or like
Ted Lasso dodgeball-ish.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. That
sounds fun.
Was thinking about. Scott, what about you? What were you working on this week? You showed me a really sweet drawing you were working on already, but
so I've got some commissions I was working on. This is the thing I will finish tonight while we're playing around. Sometimes these are like palette cleansers for me. I had been doing Alpha Flight drawings the other month, and I'm usually drawing some Kirby characters or whatever because I have such a great affinity for them. But recently I decided I would draw a whole slew of Batman villains. So last night or the night before, I had started this Mr. Freeze. And as sort of an amalgamation, my own take, combination between the animated version and the comic book version and all that stuff. I'd drawn him once before in a book called Citizen Cold. But this was fun, and I got to dig deep into this and look around and see the real noirish angle of getting him done. So working on commissions this week, and again, and probably will be for the next few weeks or so, depending on negotiations. I'm working on proposals and pitches and stuff, left or right or whatever. I was actually going to ask you before we started the show that how many like projects do you kind of have going at any one time, Sean? How many different angles are you looking at different things going on? Because that was one thing that I haven't had to do for most of my career until these recent years. I've had like one or two things here and there you got to dance around a little bit, but it was pretty easy for me at Marvel DC just to like, oh, here's another job. Oh, here's another job.
Yeah. Right now I've got four projects walking around, getting ready to get going. Some with our pal Jeff. I don't know if you've met Jeff. Scott, this is Jeff. Jeff, this is Scott.
Oh yeah, that guy.
And then I always have stuff like in the background that I'm willing to pull out and start working on again. But lately I have not. People ask me about writing, and I say you need to write every day. Lately, I'm not really writing like that every day. I mean, I do some writing every day, but it's not working on my own stuff that much.
Right.
I just wait until, unless I've got an assignment, I can afford to wait until something really strikes me fancy.
When you say you need to write every day, and I've heard that a million times, and I do believe that all skill is perishable. But even if I don't wind up working on a page or a commission or something, I'll still draw like a little sketch, or I'll keep my hand moving, or I'll play with something. Is there a writing equivalent to doing scale? Because like that's kind of like doing scales for an artist. For a writer, is there an equivalent to that?
Yeah, it's all typing drills. Oh. FG, FY, FT. No, I'm kidding.
You heard the magic here, folks.
Yeah. I keep notes. I keep a lot of notes. I've got like 4 or 5 notebooks going all the time. So if I have an idea, I write it down. Or, my therapist has become really happy that I've started journaling lately. So I consider that's writing.
There you go.
That is writing.
Yeah, she just got too excited when I finally broke down after I've been with her for 7 years. And she said, well, keeping a journal is good. I'm like, that's kind of like my job. You're just giving me more work to do. And I started keeping a journal, and she's thrilled. She doesn't even want to read it. She's just, I'm so glad you're writing this stuff down.
You're just happy. She's happy you're doing it.
Yep.
Well, that's great.
Well, there's certainly the action of physically writing and thinking the ideas and writing ideas down and working through problems. But isn't it also, people always say that part of the writing practice is reading?
Yes.
Always reading other stuff.
And read lots of stuff. Like we were going to talk about what my tip is for screenwriting today. What the thing is that I'm tired of, that I never want to see again. I told Scott earlier, I never want to see anybody writing like Quentin Tarantino again. I don't want to see this real.
You mean stealing from Chinese action movies?
It goes further than that. It's Chinese action movies, it's Japanese dramas, it's Thai martial arts movies, and
odd comic book references out of the blue.
Yeah. That Kevin Smith does that too. Yep. But just really snappy patter and calling every song in a movie. I mean, you should never put songs in a movie script anyway, because the chances of that song actually winding up in the movie are slim to none, and it sort of tags you as a bit of an amateur. Quentin Tarantino got away with it, but that doesn't mean it's good. So I mean, but
because he was a director.
Well, and he was the right guy in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
It's reading is important, and reading lots of different things is important. And I think that goes for artists too. I remember, I think we talked about this a bit, that when we used to get portfolios, there were all these people who clearly all they'd ever watched was anime. And everything was based on that. And like, well, this is good, but this isn't what we're doing. Can you do what we're doing?
Yeah.
And,
right.
They're just sort of confused by that. And the influences, I used to do a whole lecture when I was teaching college that, I like Superman, and I could diagram on a blackboard how I started really liking Superman. And because I looked at what they liked and went back and back and back, that led me to be interested in 1930s New York political theater. And I can make a direct line to that, and all those things influenced each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeff, what you've been doing?
Don't mind me. I'm trying to figure out how to show my drawing. There we go. That's not bad, right? You can see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been working on finishing up Rogues, and working on some covers for
Rogues. What do you mean rogues? I don't
Rogues.
understand.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
My creator comic, Rogues Kingdom, which will be coming out. I'm working on it a little bit at a time.
What does that look like? Have we got a copy of that lying around?
Is that the question?
There it is. Thank you, Sean.
Jeff, would this is what it looks like, Jeff?
Yeah. It's pretty good. And
It's bagged and boarded. Bagged and boarded.
That makes it valuable.
I'm getting it slabbed.
Look at that beautiful comic book.
Yeah.
that.
So one of the things I actually wanted to talk to you about, Sean, is like I'm very much into, some might say too much into, setting the environment, drawing the scene, creating the world. And I do that by obsessively, building a landscape and making maps and doing and all that stuff. And I think that actually helps who the characters are and what the story is about and like why something is going on. And I do that with pictures. How do you do that? But for a good screenplay, that same effect has to happen. You have to feel where the events are taking place in a way. How do you do that concisely? Because you have to write all the dialogue and all the other stuff. How do you do that as a screenwriter?
It's the world is created through what you see and what you hear. And that's all. So the action description should be contained to just what can be seen and what is important to the story and the character development. And if you're doing that right, then the world itself should come to life. And if we're doing things like pests, I have an idea in my head of where all those neighborhoods were when I was writing that. So I know that. And Jeff will tell you that I don't describe things into intricate detail in a comic book script, because I think, if Jeff trusts that I know what I'm doing, I'm trusting that Jeff knows what he's doing. And I've known Jeff for a long time, so I do trust that. So I try to give just enough information as a screenwriter or a comic writer to let you or a director or an actor bring their stuff to it as well. It's not just all about, in a collaborative format, it's not just all about my thoughts and feelings. It's about, everybody's thoughts and feelings that are involved in the major creation of it. So I think I do a good job of it. Jeff, you'd tell me.
I would definitely say that whenever I've read any of your stuff, the point always gets across. It's one of those invisible art forms. So it seems like you do it mostly through context clues and
yeah. And it's confidence. It's confidence that you know what you're doing. You don't want to get you said she climbs up to the third floor here, but on page 2 you said the building only had 2 floors. That kind of stuff you have to avoid. But it really is for me. This kind of entertainment is all about feeling. It's not about plot working or anything like that. It's about the feeling that you communicate to people, and if you're doing that right, then the plot and characterization should work. Does that make sense?
It does. It totally does. Because on the creative side, you're trying to get the point across. One of my favorite descriptions of what a storyboard artist does is, once you have a script in hand, was from my friend Scooter, who said storyboarding is just traffic management, getting a character from point A to point B. That's and saying the things I need to say along the way. That's all it really is. So but like that only works if you know where they're going and why. And that's one of
Right.
the things I think is most important when you're trying to translate, the written word, a script, into a drawing. It's like, well, why is this happening? Where is this happening? What's going on?
And there are writers who think visually and writers who don't think visually, and it's always been a surprise to me because from the time I was really small, I thought visually, and when someone pointed out to me, it was actually while I was directing a stage play, and the set designer said to me, "Oh my God, it's great working with you because you think visually and you know what to ask for." And I'm like, that's different than what you've had before, because that would seem to be, part of the trade.
Yeah, it should be. There's always a huge difference between when you have a director or an editor who can draw the thing that they're trying to get you to understand, as opposed to beat around the bush with metaphor and simile and like, oh, it's kind of like this and it should feel like that, and like the last time we talked, her nose should be more proud. Like, well, what does this mean? Right? Like,
Yep.
Yeah, that's Hitchcock said that people, Hitchcock said that actors should be treated as cattle, famously.
that's
But
not a
Such
thing
a
I
nice
like.
man.
Yeah, well, obviously he didn't really mean that, because if he works with people like Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant and Doris Day,
Right.
they're not only going to not be treated like cattle, but Jimmy Stewart will fly his B-29 bomber over you, and but he also said that he hired actors because he knew they could do the job, and he's not. I'm not there to tell you your character. I'm there to move this stuff around so that it works, and I hired you because you're a really good actor, and I
Right.
trust you to understand what the character is and how it works with the script.
Yeah, listening to a really good actor talk about how they break down a script and approach the what they're doing and why what each line means, like it's pretty amazing storytelling.
Yeah. So, that's for me. I think that I think visually enough. And when I'm working with guys like you, I can just, say, do you have enough here? Do you need more?
Right.
And I'm not like, I'm not going to tell anybody how to draw the story. That seems foolish.
I think so. I tend to think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Guidance and input and like a vision, I think, are always great, but like breaking down, it's this angle or it's this thing, I always find that to be hobbling in a way.
Mhm.
You're like, okay,
There are jobs that I've turned down for that exact reason, because the writer would have done that, saying this is an over shoulder shot, this is an over da. Now this is a high angle, this is a that. And I'm like, I'm not saying he was necessarily wrong in all of it, but I just felt like I was then just becoming the art monkey and all of that, going like,
Right.
I have no decisions in any of this.
Right. And that's kind of what I've hated from the time I started working in comics. I mean, that was if I've talked to you when we were doing Aquaman, I talked to Hooper.
Yeah.
And, we knew what the story was going to be about, and then like, I've got another issue to write. Call me if you have any questions.
right.
Yep.
And that's the way the couple things Jeff and I have done together. That's the way it worked. And then Chris did that last issue of Aquaman. I don't think I even met him by that time.
Oh,
And I really liked that.
yeah. Well,
Chris
Chris is a great storyteller.
Shank.
He's
Shank.
really,
Okay.
also, he's a really great teacher of it. Like, he understands the mechanics and the science of storytelling and can talk about it in a really interesting and coherent way. Yeah.
Like an adult.
Like an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons he was a really great teacher at the academy for a long time. I think he's still teaching there. Right,
Yep.
Scott? Is he still doing stuff?
I believe he is.
Yes. He helped on issue 1 of Rose Kingdom, helped me get it into the can and helped me with the coloring and touch-up inking stuff. And he inked issue 2 and colored issue 2, and it's amazing. And working with him, because I don't ink or color, I've learned to do both passively. But having someone really discuss the finer points of like how the inking affects the story and character, and how color really affects the mood and the feeling. I mean, color even way more than inking, I think, affects the overall sense of the narrative. And that's stuff that I just had a pedestrian understanding of. And so I do think that that's one of the things, a lot like hire people, work with people that you trust and let them do their thing. It's really the best way to make a comic.
Yeah. And that's what makes it a collaboration. It's not just, one person. It shouldn't be just one person's visions. If it is, learn how to draw.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you want to do that. So that's Mr. Freeze is looking very 1940s RKO horror movie, Scott.
Yay!
Love that. That's great.
That's exactly what he's got to be, to my mind.
No, to me too. That's what I always thought especially when I saw the first designs for animated series. It was like that. This is 1940s horror movie stuff.
Yeah, no. In fact, I had looked at pictures of when I was working on this of Lon Chaney and what was it? What did I say? Tor Johnson. There were a bunch of crazy guys I was looking at for that stuff.
It's a blast from the past, right? So, Sean, you were there in the beginning when the designs were coming in for. Did you see the Kevin Nolan, Mr. Freeze design?
No, that was before me. I was over on Animaniacs then. No, I was around for the second, what I guess now called the new Batman Adventures design stuff.
Yeah, that Kevin Nolan stuff was awesome.
Yeah, those designs are great. Although I'm blanking on Mr. Freeze right now. I'm not remembering his Mr. Freeze, but yeah.
It was good. He's a great designer.
Oh yeah, they were all awesome. Yep.
What was great about it?
There was, I think this might be it was sad. He seemed sad.
But Bruce?
And I don't know if it was a slump of the shoulders or just the way he had the head. I don't know what it was about.
Did you notice that in those Nolan drawings, he often had his head like way cocked forward?
Yeah.
Not just like standing, whatever. So yeah, there was a bunch of that stuff. And those designs were brilliant.
Yeah.
And it was neat to see a guy like Kevin where we're used to seeing his comic book style, which was all full of all these great double lit shadows and great feathering all through it. So very fine artist almost doing all of these things on Moon Knight or whatever he was working on, kind of a deal, Man Bat and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then to see those drawings that were just a pen, almost flat drawing of a character, really simplified down for an animation style of that stuff. Yeah, those drawings he did for those shows were really phenomenal.
That's what I'm surprised I don't see a lot of in current comics, and in a way it's sort of infecting television too. Is that nobody just trusts the simplicity of something? We've been watching Pluribus.
Is that good? Do you like that?
I think anybody making television whose name isn't Vince Gilligan should be ashamed of themselves. If you can turn out something, if they can turn out stuff that good, there's got to be somebody else who can turn out stuff that good. But it really, it's very simple. I mean, it looks simple. There's a lot of those long Breaking Bad shots that's just one person in the distance, and they let the environment do the work for them sometimes.
So what? It's an alien thing, right? I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, it's kind of Invasion of the Body Snatchers ish.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, but the simplicity and drawing it, you never see everybody's trying to do the cross hatching and the feathering and do tons of layers of color on it, and it takes you can't tell sometimes if people can draw or not.
Right.
Yep.
You can tell they can do fancy stuff.
One of the things that I loved about Kevin McGuire's work back in the day is just how Spartan, he was with his lines. And I thought that was because I also was I knew Jim Lee at the time, and I was working with him. I was helping him do some backgrounds and stuff, but I was really getting to see him draw stuff. And he was using a lot. I mean, his line work is gorgeous, but it was on everything, the shading and the lighting. Like Kevin wasn't doing any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Not on that animated stuff.
No, I mean just in comics, like just the Ken McGuire stuff and the
oh, right.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that feels to me, that felt more honest, right? Like that's just the simpler stuff felt more true to what I was trying to do, as opposed to
Yeah.
um, someone like Stephen Platt, who was doing gorgeous work, but it was like he was so good at all the rendering, and that everything was very well rendered, and the line work was amazing. I didn't even understand the concept. I'm like, how is he even doing that? Why is he doing that?
Well, a lot of times too, that's those choices to me that's why Kevin's work went over so well and became such a big deal. Wasn't just Kevin's work alone, but it fit the comedy style of the book. So that light rendering without the heavy shadows, this and that, it was not dramatic.
Right.
And you get those other guys, the Jim Lees and whatnot, who are doing uplighting, or Kevin Nolan or Barry Smith or whatever. Their stories are hyper dramatic. They're like Shakespearean almost kind of, or film noir kind of push dramatics going on with it, very dark or empathetic or whatever. And Kevin McGuire on Justice League was like, haha, pie in the face, here it comes. And it was perfect because it was still superheroes. They still had muscles and everything. But then they had those quirky, expressions and different things going on. It was great.
Well, he was
Such a breath of fresh air.
He was working over Giffen's layouts, which I used to have. I used to have like 10 issues of Justice League of just Giffen's layouts that they sent me to try and work Aquaman and the Justice League together. And I wish I'd kept them because they were great. I mean, it was like drunk Harvey Kurtzman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
I've got a bunch of Keith stuff that way on digital form. I don't think I have any that I've saved in paper form, but I worked with him for years. So yeah, I was used to seeing that stuff all the time. It was great.
Did you work with him when he was working for us?
When would that have been?
99, 2000, 2001.
Oh, no, not that early. The first time I worked with Keith was 2005 or 6. And then that was at Marvel on Annihilation. And then we worked together a bunch at DC, and that would have been 2012 to 2017, 18, just a couple of years before he died. Some of his last DC work is what I worked on.
He was doing boards for us, and they were hilarious. I mean, they were just dead on. He stopped one board in the middle of it to do a whole sequence of he stopped one Batman Beyond board in the middle of the act to do a whole sequence of Terry stepping forward and congratulating me on my son's birth.
Aw.
And he just turned in the storyboard like that, didn't say a word about it. And the PA came to me and said, what do I do with these?
Oh, that's so nice. He was such a great guy.
Yeah, Keith's awesome.
Yeah. I have I don't have a ton of regrets when it comes to my career because it's been pretty great. But one of the things that does make me sad is that Keith and I were supposed to do a new version of Magnus Robot Fighter for Acclaim.
That would have been so cool.
Yeah. We were working on it. I was obviously I was going to draw it. He was going to write it, and he was doing layouts. We were working out the story, and I was doing character designs, and it was going to be this really cool Magnus where the world was robots, like had taken over the whole world, and there was one patch in the center of basically the worldwide city that was the last bit of the rainforest, of the last bit of forest.
Yep.
And he was the protector. He was the protector of it, and so he wound up fighting robots and people trying to come in and take the last little bit of it. And it was there was a scene that I was laying out where he was fighting a bunch of robots on a bullet train, basically going around this jungle. It was great. It would have been cool, but then that company went under, and I was sad because it never got to see the light of day.
I don't think I ever saw any of that, but I saw that you had that. What was it, like a advertising or a cover piece where he was sitting on a throne?
Yeah,
kind of thing. Looks really cool.
Yeah, with lots of it was lots of monkeys and bugs and stuff around him.
Yep.
It was like the ruins of a bunch of machines he had destroyed and chopped up in the background.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Scott, what do you have? What's one that got away from you? What's a project that you? Because I think I talked about Wildcat, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh, were you gonna work on Wildcat?
Yeah, Scott. What about you? Was there one that got away?
There's plenty that never materialized. I'm trying to think of actually got away from me like it was supposed to happen. Um, well, technically I'm on hold for this one project. I'm worried that it's going to die. I don't know. I don't want to say who it's for or anything, because I think they're working on the funding of it and stuff. But it was a neat project where it was about high school and high school kids, some of them being AI robots and stuff like that. Like they were training them to be human beings, kind of within the high school, which to me is like horrific. That's the worst time to train a robot to do anything, is in the wilds of high school meanness. But it was a neat project, and we started it, and then now it's been on hold. Um, well, I mean, technically, early on, I had been in the comic business like 2 years, 3 years, 3 years, 3 or 4 years, I think, by that point, that Captain America was finally free and open because I think Grunwald had died. And that's when Wade was taking it over. I heard about it at the time. I sent in pieces, I think, to whichever editor. I can't remember what the deal was at that time. But Garney got that job.
Oh,
Which, of course, I'm like, oh, well, fine. If you're going to take
I mean,
Garney.
it doesn't hurt. I mean, the best was ever.
But no, I
been,
basically
tough
never
to-
had a shot on that one.
Yeah. that's a like, oh, okay. I guess that's inevitable. Yeah. I've had those where you're like,
I can't complain too bad on that one.
right,
There's
right.
been other ones where we've had pitches in for stuff, even at DC or whatnot. As Jeff Johns and I were wrapping up Flash stuff, I think we're feeling around for other projects for us to work on together before I wound up going to Marvel. And we had pitched stuff like, we could work on Hawkman, we could work on Captain Marvel Shazam, I think even the Atom or something like that. And most of those were just, for whatever reason at the time, just shot down. And I never heard like a reason why or, whatever's going on with it.
No, I was going to do Wildcat when the Justice Society reemerged in the 90s. They'd been fighting Ragnarok, and then they came back. And I wanted him to be sick of it and retire to a retirement home he'd bought in the 1940s, which was now a ranch in the middle of the San Fernando Valley between two warring gangs during the 90s gang thing. And it was going to be, he had to do what he did in the beginning, which was be the local superhero taking on the local gangsters. But it was going to be 90s, Bloods and Crips with machine guns going after each other.
Ah, cool.
That'd be cool. I love Wildcat.
Yeah, he's a great character.
Yeah.
He was one of the first Golden Age ones that I got a real excited over, because it was one of those Batman 100 pages or something like that had all sorts of other stories in there. And one of them was they reprinted an old, like 1942, whatever, Irwin Hazen, Wildcat job or whatever it was. And I just thought he just looked like the coolest thing ever. And he had this little cat cycle and stuff. So as a kid, I was like, totally cool.
I first saw my brothers the Spectre had a series in the 60s.
Yeah.
And my older brothers had an issue. There were
Wildcat
guest starred. And it was drawn by Neil Adams. And I was a little
I was about to say the Neil Adams one. I've seen that one.
Yep,
That's great.
Yep. That was, I read that one to pieces. The idea of like, he's a boxer and a superhero.
That's great. Yeah. So Scott, maybe the job got away, but what character I know that you have an affinity for Hawkman. Is that, if you could have done him, would you have jumped on that?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, no, Hawkman was definitely on the top of the list at that time when I was finishing up Flash. They hadn't done that rebooted version that Jeff Johns wound up doing a few years later. In fact, I was kind of mad about that one at the time, going like, damn it, we were supposed to work on Hawkman. But I'm a sucker for like all sorts of characters, great and small, as far as any of the majors go along. That's where, you mentioned Wildcat. Love them. You mentioned Dr. Fate, half of the JSA characters. Yeah, they're all great. They're all really cool.
Right.
If there's just some way to like, get them out to the public. I wound up doing a pitch for an Our Man series that I was going to do with a writer who shall remain nameless now.
Yeah.
And but it never went anywhere. I forget why. I don't even know if he even tried to pitch it, but this was years before any sort of problems that he had. But but I designed a kind of modified Hourman costume during that pitch that was sort of a modernization of his classic costume. And at one point, while Jeff Johns was on the JSA, whatever later on, I had showed him that piece or something like that, told him how much I loved. I think I wanted to do like a fill-in issue of JSA while he was on it or something like that. I was trying to get, but I showed him the modified one. He asked at one point, goes, can we have that? I want to put him in the book. I'm like, sure. And then for a long time now, that's been the modified costume of doing stuff. So, tons of those characters I would have loved to have done. There's that many, if not more so, at Marvel, because I spent so many years at Marvel ultimately when it was done. I got a bunch of different characters through Marvel Team Up and stuff, but to have a real Hulk run of comic books or a real Thor run, I got to do a mini series of stuff here and there. But oh yeah, there's tons of books I would have loved to have done.
Yeah. Also have a big affinity for the JSA characters. I don't know why. Once again, I remember my brothers having issues of Justice League with the crossovers. And this whole idea that there were superheroes my dad's age for some reason really appealed to me. And then they were trying to reboot them, so they were trying to give Dr. Midnight and Sandman new weapons so that they would be cooler. And I don't know. I even as a kid, I kind of thought the stuff like Siegel and Matt Wagner did with Sandman and what I forget who's doing the Wesley Dodds the Sandman now, but they really sort of nailed it. It's pulpy adventure guys with masks and guns running around. That stuff's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think one of the reasons that I like that stuff so much is because often their powers they have powers, or in a lot of great cases they don't. They have like a gimmick gun, or they're a boxer, or they're something. So I always found that made them a lot more relatable and even a little more heroic. So like they're just running in there. They're just
a bit more down to earth.
Yeah. And it's kind of more aspirational in a way because you don't have to come from another planet.
Right.
Plus, I was always one of those guys as a kid where everyone, my friends, whatever, they love Superman comic books. Well, that means that my favorite would have been Captain Marvel. Everybody would have liked Spider-Man or whatever. And then I was like, no, I like the X-Men because they weren't Spider-Man. Everybody else had Spider-Man comic books. I only found a couple guys that had X-Men comic books at that time. So I'm like, So I've always had that like rooting for the underdog kind of characters or the sideline characters, that kind of thing. And JSA and any of those things were fully part of that.
Such a contrarian.
I love Tower Comics. I love Dynamo and Undersea Agent.
Super cool.
Undersea Agent with the Gil Kane covers.
Do you want to hear my guilty pleasure? The Human Fly. I love that character. I love that book so much.
Yep.
I actually had a very long pitch that I pitched and failed way back in the 90s about the Human Fly being an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And he would go on missions and perform stunts. And that was his cover for doing spy shit for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wasn't the issue though that they actually lost the rights?
I mean,
because it was a real guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a real guy.
Yeah. I mean, I pitched it. No one wanted. The minute I said Human Fly, just conversation over. I had never got any further than that. But I had a whole thing worked out. I thought Human Fly, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. would have been really cool.
Jeff, you need to work on NFL Super Pro.
Oh God, that's money in the bank.
Or Team America. Was it Team America or Team USA, the trucker thing?
Team USA.
I think it was was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, comics is tricky. You have to time it. You have to time it just right.
Yep.
TV is. I worked on Buckaroo Banzai for about a year at Warner's as an animated series for Cartoon Network. Yeah.
Holy crap! I never even heard of that. Yeah. How far did you guys get in the process?
Got all the way to a pitch Bible that had been approved, and then they wanted the negotiations with MGM broke down for the rights. They didn't want to. They didn't want to do any sharing of anything, and they wanted a huge they wanted like $1 million $5 million for the rights to do a series, and that's a non-starter.
For Buckaroo Banzai.
When you're working at Warner Brothers, who has, you know, the DC stable plus all the Warner Brothers stuff, and the CFO is like, I'll help get this for you, but it can't be too expensive because, you know, we have all this other stuff is what you really should be working on.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny though, they're almost more interested in listening to a pitch about something that they don't own. Is another failed pitch of mine is the question. I'm like, there should be an animated question that's a murder mystery or whatever. I think he had such a great place in Batman Brave and the Bold.
Justice League.
He was Justice League too, but I drew him in the Brave and the Bold. He's such a great character, and I think he would have made a great star of a movie. I think he would have been able to carry his own animated film without a doubt.
Just the look.
Agreed.
I mean, it's odd that the lack of a face is really visual.
Yeah,
you know, and
with the
really,
hat, the whole bit. Yeah.
Jeff, you what you did with that webbing was kind of a freak of nature type thing. How fast you got that in there?
That's great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, at this stage, it's easy. When you try and go in and actually do it, you know, that takes a lot more thought. I do like Spider-Man though.
What I'm more interested in is the eyes. You chose something else to do with the eyes.
I made him squinty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, but also I was trying to channel Cheeks because he did the greatest on the cartoon, Spectacular Spider-Man. Sean did such great work.
Yeah.
Making the eyes expressive. And that's something I always have trouble with when I was drawing the comic.
Really?
It's a big deal. It's like, oh yeah, Jeff and I would sit there and talk for hours about getting the exact Spider-Man eyes right, or the exact way that you're going to present Captain America's A on his forehead or the star on his chest or whatever.
Yeah.
Hours we would spend just discussing, wait, but what if you did this?
Yeah.
Whatever it was. It's a big deal.
I mean, you know, someone really knows what they're talking about when you ask them, because the Spider-Man web comes down this way, but under here, it's straight down the chin. So like, how do you have it meet? And what John Romita Jr. or Sr. used to say, he just used to black it out. Like he just to fake it. Right. But like when you're trying to, when you're OCD, you're like, well, how does how does it line up? Yeah.
Talking about Captain America star and stuff right before we started, I was talking about Sal Buscema, who passed away a couple of weeks ago. And that first of all, that Scott heard me sing his praises, but that run Sal Buscema and Steve Englehart did, that sort of, for someone with an extraordinarily challenging childhood, that was like, that kind of kept me going for a while, just knowing that I had those books to look forward to. But you look at what Sal did, especially in the run with the second Captain America from the 50s, with the two slightly different costumes. And there's that cover where it's a Sal Buscema back shot. He's punching somebody. The character's got this huge back in front, and you see the superhero's back. But he really played with the star on all of those, and did a really good job of showing how these costumes are just slightly different, and really made the other guy's costume look kind of cheap with just things like that. You know, like the star on the back is too big because it's got to cover a bunch of stuff.
That's neat. I'm gonna have to look that issue up. Sal was one of those guys where, I mean, all of us of this age and before whatnot, we all sing Sal's praises. I don't know if he ever got, you know, quite the recognition he ever deserved, kind of thing. But him and Aparo and guys like that were absolute workhorses, but they really knew the job as what was needed to be done, and they didn't, you know, fiddle around, and they didn't try and make stars of themselves like a Jim Lee or a John Byrne or whatever kind of deal. They just did the job. They did it extremely well, and then they were part of a team, and they would work as a team, and they didn't have to be a star in the field or any of those kind of things. But they really did bring the A game every time. Didn't matter what book they were on or which topic they were dealing with. Sal's got great stuff on Captain America, on Hulk, on Spider-Man, you know, Rom, all of these like list of favorites when people talk about his work. That's just it went on for so long. He was just a great workhorse and a real thoughtful guy who knew how to handle the stuff he did for Marvel Comics all those years.
Yeah, the story is always not only clear but impactful.
Yeah.
You know, he had DeStefano and I talked about it once, and I said Sal had like 5 poses, but he used them all at exactly the right time.
Yeah. And he made, I mean,
I
I
love-
don't know if he did the designs for the UFOs, but he was able to make characters that would seem silly. Like, oh, that seems silly. He always made them feel like, oh, there's a person behind that,
Yeah.
ironclad, vapor, whatever.
Yep.
Viper, the ad man turned supervillain in Captain America, who's always just spouting like Mad Men quotes and shooting darts out of his mouth. But he's also like a really creepy looking guy in a green costume with his head distorted by this snake mask.
There was Tarantula in Spectacular Spider-Man, those first
I
issues,
love
whatever.
Tarantula. Oh,
He's
one of my favorites.
I know,
with
but
the
it's
foot
just because those
spikes.
covers were so cool. He's just got points on his toes.
So,
The rest of us would draw him like he's a bad tap dancer.
yeah. Yeah.
He could
But
always
Sal
get
made him look brilliant.
Great, yeah. Got him so that first one with that weird, like it's almost like a Kirby Batroc pose with him coming at Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah. with his pointy toes, his Cuban heels on his toes.
But he had a really great Spider-Man that went all over his chest and torso and everything else going on. And then he
It was
had
a
the
cool- it was a
bandana
cool- yeah, cool
mask going
design.
on.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if he did those designs. I really liked them a lot, and those books were super important to me at that time.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, Sal was great.
Is that where we're drawing the Hulk now?
Just moving on. Just
There you go.
You got to get the Sal expression though. There.
oh yeah.
Well, that was the other thing, was that Sal had those great ideas. And like you said, he had those 5 poses. But after Sal passed, everybody was posting him again. That Sal always had that punching pose. And
Yep.
then whoever got hit was flying upside down in that same pose. It didn't matter. We saw it with like a rainbow of different characters, whoever it
Yeah,
was, Thor
yeah.
versus Hulk, Hulk versus Captain Marvel, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was basically the same pose, but it worked so well.
But it's not. And it's because it fits in the story and it works with the story. He can repeat those poses.
Yep.
He always knows the right time to deploy them. It's actually pretty amazing. It seems he might have had, I mean, if your brother's John Buscema, for fuck's sake, what do you? It's like being Steve Ditko's little brother and being in comics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did Neil Adams have a brother who hated him? I mean, you're standing in that shadow, but you really sort of like, man, really sort of carved a space for himself that was strong. And like you were saying earlier, Scott, like 5 pages a week, it seems like Sal could do 3 books a month without much problem.
Yep. I bet he always was generally doing like a book in a week and a half, 2 weeks at the most, if he like took time on it.
It's just insane.
Yeah, that's
I
a
don't know,
totally
But it was-
different world.
I don't know if I
But it
can
was
write
also in the
one.
world where the inkers were part of that whole process. And starting around the time that Jeff and I broke in the 90s, inkers were becoming less of that process. They were just becoming the guys who were doing the finishing. All of the style was being put down by the penciler,
Yeah.
which is rough. It
Yeah.
puts a lot of pressure on one person of the, this, you're supposed to have this whole factory team people working on it piecemeal as it goes along.
Yeah. Did
Go,
you guys
Jeff.
did you guys grow up like wanting to be like working in like an Eisner studio or something where you had a whole bunch of people together and collaborating, or like Al Cap Studios?
If we're going to be totally honest, I always early on, I think because I studied the How to Draw Comics Marvel way cover to cover, and early on I saw a bunch of John Buscema page layouts that he did on like butcher paper. So in my mind, that's what a penciler did. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what a penciler does, and so ever since then, I'm always annoyed that I have to take any drawing past that stage. It just I'm like oh, I did the job already. Now I have to do more. That's just not. It's not my jam.
And you're not using butcher paper anymore though.
No, now I use cheap ass typing paper.
There you go.
So what would he do with that? Then how would he like get it into show to Stan? Like would he?
Well, then the butcher paper. Then he would either give it to someone or he'd trace it off on an actual page.
Oh, like Kurtzman used to do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably
So
butcher
very-
paper because he'd had it left over from life drawing class or whatever else he was doing at the time.
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
Probably
it
bought
was
it.
there,
Probably
yeah.
bought it by the ream, right?
Yeah. Are you a butcher, sir? No.
Yeah.
What do you? I draw comic books. What's the butcher paper for? None of your business.
No, you don't know. Don't ask questions.
You want a rump roast? Scott, talk about Mr. Freeze here. It's pretty cool. It kind of Laird Kriegerish to do my obscure actor call out for the night.
Good. I got to write that one down. Say that again.
Laird Krieger, Laird.
I am always on the lookout for unique faces and different kind of things. I've drawn so many superheroes throughout the time that have their pretty faces. You know, they're really impressive physiques and everything else going on. That these days, what I'm finding most interesting is calling out villains or different stuff like that, and then giving them a really, hopefully, unique characterization to it that may not be pretty. One of the first times I ran across this was I was doing Marvel Team Up with Robert Kirkman, and he had asked for one of the villains to be Ringmaster. Now I'm a big old Thor fan, and from Kirby time and everything else, so I knew all the Ringmaster stuff in there. Okay, cool, great, all right, this will be fun. Awkward, weird, nice, bizarre choice. You never know. Throw it in there. So then I went back and looked at Kirby's drawings of him in different books, and there were certain shots of him. I'm like, oh my God, look at that. And it's Kirby, but that mouth is really huge for that face or whatever it is going on. And it gives him that kind of warped facial expressions of stuff going on, which made him a little bit more sinister or different things. So I'm like, oh. So then I played into that when I drew him for Marvel Team Up. And it really, then I was like, oh, he looks like nobody else. He's not going to be mistaken for Magneto or any of these other characters going on. So I've really gotten into that. And in this one, like we talked about before we got started, I was looking at different noir kind of horror actors and different stuff, looking all over the place, but looking for those kind of like B actors, those thug actors, or anybody else who would have that really kind of like interesting different face, not just the Hollywood Carrie or any of those guys' faces. So that's what I wanted to get here. And then I love the different stuff they've done in the comic books and the animation shows with Mr. Freeze. The head's always, it's been in that globe or cylinder for most of these years, but just that frozen guy inside there is always fun. And I'm known for Captain Cold, which is cool. But it's fun to draw him too, because they did such a great job with him on the Warner Brothers thing that before that he was an okay Batman villain. I remember seeing him once in a while before that, but he never really had an actual like shtick, an angle that you could be like, oh, this is what the guy's about.
You're talking about Freeze?
Yeah. Then when Tim and all those guys, Paul, put that together and made him tragic and all of that, oh man, he became he became A tier for Batman, no problem.
And that's very much like some of those B movies from the 40s with especially Lon Chaney Jr. was great at playing the tragic monster character. Either he's Larry Talbot, who's going to turn into a werewolf, or he was the indestructible man who had to keep sucking on electricity or he was going to die. I mean, it just seemed to be that guy's stock and trade until, of course, he played Chingachgook in Last of the Mohicans. But that's another time.
That sounds
story.
Problematic.
It was this Canadian British co-production. They were trying to copy the Lone Ranger with Hawkeye from Last of the Mohicans, and they got Lon Chaney to play Chingachgook.
Ah, dear.
Didn't
it goes.
John Wayne play an American Indian character?
No.
Oh,
John
I
Wayne?
bet you did.
Me?
No, John Wayne.
Oh, no, he played Genghis Khan.
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Ah,
Yeah.
I thought you were asking me if I would, because my dad was a Choctaw, but look at me, for fuck's sake. I got every gene from my mother's side of the family.
Right.
From my dad, I got cheekbones, and I can scalp people.
Sure. And that'll come in. Listen, when you need it, you really want to be able to do it.
Yeah. That's what I tell people I'm Irish and American Indian. All I really understand are grudges and guilt.
Perfect American.
Oh, that's so. Oh, so you got this. So what did you do? Did you have it on a light board you were working on top
So-
of? Or?
Yeah, I've got a light box here that I'll use at different times. When I was starting this the other night, I just start with a rough idea of the sketch that I start on the front side. And I've heard it described to me that it's because I have, of course, I'm going to blank on the word. What is it when your eyes don't match up?
When one's blue and one's brown.
No. The shape of your eyeball is not perfect. Stigmatism. That's it.
Okay.
So since I have apparently a pretty strong astigmatism, my characters can be a little bit lopsided at times. So I will often draw it frontwise the way that I think it's going to go. And then I'll flip it over, draw it again backwards.
Oh,
Catch all of my errors that might have been wrong that I wouldn't have seen in the version of it.
Right.
And other people, at different times at school, whatnot, you use
Other
a
people
mirror,
do like
you
the
do
flippy
different
and the
things.
mirror thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So then I draw it backwards again. And then depending on what's going on with it, if it's on the roll or not, I could finish it, in just one more take. That I'll do it in marker. So then I can lightbox it and finish it on the final, which I do for most of my comic book pages. But plenty enough times while I'm doing this, there's still a bunch of errors. So then I'm, constantly flipping back and forth, fixing it again and again and again.
I was going to ask how you do pages when you've got a deadline. Can you afford to take that much time, or do you just have to take that much time? Is that just
I kind of have to take that much time. Sometimes I'll get away with it and go faster, once I've gotten on a roll. Like we talked about in previous episodes, where it could take 3 or 6 months to really figure out, the feel of a book and how you're storytelling it, what's the best parts and how it works, with your skills or whatever you're going to bring to it. There's plenty of times when it takes that time to do it. But once I'm in that flow then, and I've done, 3-6 issues of The Flash or whichever book it was, then, even for Patra did the same thing. The first couple issues, there's a whole bunch about the first issue. I wish I could just rip up and draw again. Because by the time I got to the third and fourth issue, I'm like, oh, okay, now it's rolling.
Yeah.
And I won't have to flip the paper as much and fix it as much, or it'll be just a smooth thing. But it takes a while to get there, especially when you're talking about different characters and different genres, milieus, whatever, that kind of thing going on. So yeah, it takes a little while. But usually when you look at my stuff, my point of view is after 3 issues or so, I was looking like, okay, I found it. Like I know there was a spot about 4 issues in on The Flash where I had been drawing Wally West and Linda and all the main characters in there. But in the 4th issue, because the 3rd issue, we blew up their house that they had. They're moving into a new apartment and living downtown. And there was a whole little sequence between Linda and Wally going on. It was a nice little sequence that Jeff had written. But at one point, there was this the face shot that I drew of Wally reacting to something that Linda had said or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's my new like high watermark for Wally. I know this shot. I can feel this shot. I know what this means and what it's going to relate to and how I need to use them and everything else. The hairstyle was right. The mannerism was right. The whole bit. But it took 3-4 issues to get that far.
Yeah.
And then it became the mark for like the next one. And then I would look for the next one that I could do that had taken that, but taken them maybe a little bit farther. And that was a nicer, stronger shot even or something like that. So yeah.
Sometimes, so I had the rom-com that I'm still waiting for notes on. I had written it. It was just about done. And I switched to a new computer and lost the entire draft somehow.
Oh no.
And the backup in that. So I had to rewrite it from scratch. I've got a whole board of notes here. It's one of the few times I've done that.
Oh, good.
But here's the weird thing that happened. So the plot starts to change while I'm writing it.
Yep.
And I'll put something in, and then like a week later, I'll go, oh, that thing I put in, that's a plot point that's going to work right now. And it's like the Elton John with the lyrics thing. I have no idea how that happened. I have no idea how that works. And I'm really afraid to look at it too closely.
Don't taunt the magic.
Yeah.
Don't look it in the eye.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
So
I looked
actually,
in the abyss, and the abyss said, "You can't do shit anymore."
Yeah.
So is there a way, since we were Jeff was bringing up this before, the different ways between writing and catching yourself or working on certain problems or skills and then doing it as a writer. Is there a way that you can think of that's similar to what I'm talking about here with this drawing skill, where I draw it this way, then I draw it reversed, and I'm checking myself or whatever else going on? Can you think of a similar thing that writers would do?
Well, for me, what happens is that I start with an image. I have an image in my head, and that image turns into a story. And I'll
Yeah.
find those things along the way, like, oh, I did this 3 weeks ago and it works now. But there's a point where the characters, if it's right, the characters know what they're doing, and you just kind of have to let them do it. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about. Like, this is my lodestone for Wally now. Well, I've written this scene and these characters talk that way. Now their voices are in my head, and I just have to start the scene for the plot, and they'll work it out themselves.
Cool.
And that goes on until you get to a new place where it's like, oh, they're remembering sometimes. And I know this sounds like new agey, and it's not. It's just the way my subconscious works.
Yeah.
But you have to let your subconscious work. Like what you're talking about is you have to let your subconscious work and do the job sometime.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think so much of being a professional creative person, whether it's a writer or an artist, is knowing how to walk that line between sitting down and like plotting, like, oh, I'm going to grind at do this thing. And then the other side of, I need to walk away and or think about something else while my subconscious does the work for me, and trust it to know that it'll come back around and I'll remember. I'm like, oh, this is how it should be done.
Yeah. Writers, there were a lot of writers when I was first starting out who would carry little notebooks with them all the time. If they were an idea, they'd write it down. And I used to do that. And then I realized if the idea is good, I'm not going to forget it. If I forget it, how good was it in the first place?
That's like John Lennon's story that I had heard or whatever all those years ago, that other people would ask him if he kept around like a little microphone and tape player or something like that, so he could sing a little diddly of a song or whatever popped into his head if he kept track of those. But the infamous story from Lennon was, he's like, no, I don't bother with all that stuff. He goes, if the melody or whatever else sticks around for like the next 3-5 days and I can't get rid of it, he goes, then I know it's a good song.
Right.
Then I know I have to put it down somewhere and try and finish it.
Right. There's a scene in that Let It Be recut that Peter Jackson did, where I forget what the song is, but there's some song and they're trying to get it straight, trying to get it straight. George, Paul, and John and Paul taking the lead, and they finally go, okay, we've got it. Let's do a run through with Ringo. And Ringo goes, no. Well, you got to. He goes, I've been listening to you for 2.5 hours. I know what I'm going to do. Just play the song.
Oh, good. Nice.
Go, Ringo. Yeah, that's awesome.
and they do a take, and as soon as the take finishes, Paul turns to and goes, Ringo, and then from the loudspeaker you hear George Martin go, Paul, your bass is out of tune.
Oh. Nice.
I want that kind of life, but he just sat there and listened to it and listened to what they were talking about, listened to them play it, like, all right, I know what I'm going to do. It's like, you guys have done all that. Let's just go. And I know what my part is.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's after 9. Jeff, that's a really sweet Hulk. Is it a red Hulk or a green Hulk?
Probably
answer correctly.
For me, it's a gray Hulk.
Oh, even better.
I know listen, it's a green
I'm
Hulk.
out.
I just wanted to annoy.
I'll see you later. Goodbye.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us.
All right,
we'll
that was
see you
fun.
next
Thanks,
week.
guys.